more for you, you feel it. You know it. This is your life, and it's time to go from contender to champion. This is The Show with John Madsen.
Welcome back to The Show, everybody. I'm your host, John Madsen. This is The Show. Damn it. I missed last week's episode. I had one that I thought was so fire. And then I left on a week-long fishing trip to Montana, Yellowstone. Anybody who follows me on social saw some of those fish. They were incredible. One of the trips I take every single year. But anyways, I recorded today's episode that you're hearing and sent it to my producer, but it sent without sound. And so when I was in Montana, there was no way to get you the original episode. And when I came back to it, in fact, there was no sound. And so what I thought was a ridiculous episode turned out to be nothing, but I'm going to redo it here. And always, if something like that happens, it happens for a reason. And it's because I need to say something different on this episode. So once again, guys, thank you for all of your support, all of your love, all of your 5-star reviews on iTunes, all of the shares you share with your corporate teams, your sports teams, your friends. If I say something that resonates, the biggest compliment that you can give me or this show is the simple liking and sharing, and that helps organic growth, which is how I grow it. And just like I've always said, a lot of these episodes are for myself as much as they are for you. I hope that it never sounds like I'm preaching to you as I'm speaking. Sometimes I'll get in the zone and I'll get in that flow. And as I'm speaking, I'm almost telling myself what I need to hear. And I know it's resonating with myself, and therefore it's resonating with you too. And that leads exactly into today's episode, which is respect. As a man, as a quality that as a man or even a woman, but I'm speaking to mostly men on this podcast, not that women don't listen, and I appreciate all the women who do listen and comment and do all of the liking and sharing too. But my message is to bring out this masculinity in today's society. Right? To bring out this masculinity in today's society that I think we lack, that I think we're soft in, that I think that when I struggled in my life or my marriage or my business, that masculinity, that power was not being tapped into. And a part of that power that I'm talking about right now is the respect. Isn't it funny how as a man, the one thing that if we really peeled back all the layers and we're like, what are we really after? What are we really after? And if we peeled all the way back, it's the respect. It's the respect of the people around us. It's the respect of our families. It's the respect of our spouse. It's the respect of the world, right? We can play as big as we want. It's the respect in any altercation, any time we're doing business with another person. What we're craving is to have that respect. But ironically, that respect from others is in direct proportion to how much we respect ourselves. So I got this quote and I didn't come up with it. I actually wrote it down because I was listening to a book, The Magic of Thinking Big, which I've listened to probably 5 years ago. And one of my clients has said, John, you gotta, and this client is a very high performer. And this client is like, John, listen to this book. And I'm like, yo, I listened to it. I actually read it probably 5 years ago. He's like, I don't care. Listen to it again. And this guy makes a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I start listening to it again. And ironically, it's almost like I'm listening to it for the first time. And sometimes, like, I'm a voracious reader. I read and read and read, and someone will recommend a book, and I'll run to that book, and I'll read it, and then I'll go to the next book, and I can't wait for the next one. But what I've tried to do is really in the past year or so, find these gems that just have so much depth, and try to actually get the depth of what's in those pages. And so that might be reading the same book 5 times, right? Like Think and Grow Rich 5 times. You hear something different every time you read it. And listening to this book, The Magic of Thinking Big, was like, I obviously didn't pick out this quote the first time because it went over my conscious awareness. And as I'm driving down the road, Dr. Schwartz, who's the author of this book, says that respect from others is in direct proportion of how much we respect ourselves. And all of the mindset training that I've done and that I do with other people, stuff that would blow your minds, has shown me that everybody who shows up in my life is a projection, usually, of what I'm feeling. So if I feel disrespected, it's because I'm disrespecting myself. If I feel this exuberant amount of respect, the thing that as a man we're after, the thing that will make us more money, the thing that will have us give us more influence in any situation, this respect thing comes from within, not external. And you can substitute this word with love or any other emotion. The amount of love that the amount of love from others is in direct proportion to how much we love ourselves. The amount of love from others is in direct proportion to how much we love ourselves. So if we play this game, and if you go back to all of these episodes, one of the undercurrents and the themes that I've talked about over and over and over again is this shift from everything in the world being external, happening to us, to every single thing in this world being internal and projected outwards externally. So everything that we feel internally is being projected externally. And that thought will blow your minds. Sometimes you'll be like, well, it doesn't make sense, right? Until it does. And when it does sink in, your whole world changes because you start to realize that all the work and all the investing that you do internally begins to change your perception of the outer world. Which is precisely why I have this program, the Athletic AF CEO Project, or the Athletic AF Method, that I've created and that I've coached people all over the world in, where we start with fitness as a centerpiece. Why do I do that? Because on the podcast, I'm not talking about fats and proteins and carbohydrates, although I geek out about it. And I could do a whole podcast and a lot of podcasts on it. And I'd probably get a lot of fitness people in by just talking about it. But I know that the people who are coming into my programs, who are high achievers and do good in other areas of their life, but they look in this mirror, and I know the secret. I know the secret of these men. Okay? I know that no matter how good they're doing in other areas of their lives, that there's this secret that they want to slide under the rug, that when they look in the mirror, they almost want to glance away. They don't want to look at themselves square in the mirror because they do not respect themselves, right? And then they go out into this world and they want to demand respect from other people when internally the truth is they don't really have that respect. And so they can either overcompensate, right? Overcompensate and be like, their personality be overbearing and try to demand respect, right? But internally they know. And so, long story short, the program that I created, starting with the physicality, begins to change the way and the amount a person shows up in the world because it changes the way they show up for themselves. If you go through a massive transformation, if you go from a person who looks in the mirror and you see an average-looking dude or an average-looking girl, and you're just like, I have so much more potential than that. Why am I not living up to it? There's this lack of respect that's going on, and then it shows up in other people. And then you blame the other people until you become enlightened, hopefully after this podcast, and you start understanding that it's not the other people that are disrespecting you. It's you disrespecting yourself, because your energetic state is more powerful than any virus ever thought of being. Your energetic state is more powerful than any virus ever thought of being. Your emotional state is more powerful than any virus ever thought of being. Your attitude is more contagious than any virus, right? So if we create this superhuman, which is you, which you're capable of, this person who gathers the understanding and the knowledge of what it takes to actually step into their complete power and live up to their fullest potential, and not stop at achieving a goal, but making that goal a standard and just being it and exuding it every time they walk into a room, every time they pick up a phone call if they're in sales, every time they knock on a door if they're doing door-to-door sales, every interaction that they have this inner sense of immense self-respect. Other people contagiously reciprocate that respect back. So that exact respect that you've craved for so long lives within you. And once you understand that and can then substitute the word respect for love or any other thing, and you do the work on you, not try to change all the people in your life, not try to change your sister, not try to change your dad or mom, not try to change your spouse, not try to change your friends, not try to change the world, but change yourself. Change and inspire yourself. Then everybody around you meets you where you're at. And it's the most wonderful thing that I've ever felt. It's the most wonderful thing and wonderful gift I can ever give to a single other person, is this wisdom that a part of you right now, wherever you're at, kind of knows that the real change starts with you. And so we start with this physicality. And let me just walk you down this path. We start with this physicality, okay? And the physicality starts between the ears. It starts in your mind, and it starts in your heart. You have to commit first. So let's just say that you look and you're like, man, I'm kind of fit, but I'm not like super fit. Like I'm not like, there's still a piece of me that when I go to a pool party or I go to the beach or I go on vacation with my family, or, you know, when I go into the bedroom with my own spouse and I have to take off my shirt, I kind of wonder what she thinks of me because I've let myself go a little bit. Or it might not even be that. It might just be like, man, I just don't feel like a fucking Greek god when I do that, right? Like I don't feel like a savage. Like that's what I want to feel like. And let's just say that you realize that and you decide to commit that it's possible for you and that you deserve it and that you're going to do whatever it takes to do it. And once you do it, you're going to create this championship standard, because championship teams do stuff differently than, like I said, a team that goes 6-6. And you decide that you want to be a champion. And so that takes the initial decision. It takes the initial commitment. It takes the initial heart set to actually know that you're going to do it. And then what else it takes is the right strategy. It takes the right understanding and the right implementation, right? You can put all the effort and you can decide, but you could do a lot of the wrong things, and your results are going to suffer. When I build programs for people, and when I built the Athletic AF CEO project, I realized that it had three rules that it had to satisfy. It had three rules that it had to satisfy. Number one, it had to be sustainable. Anybody can do shit and trick themselves for 16 weeks. It had to be sustainable for life. Number two, it had to be somewhat enjoyable. Okay? Because if you told me that I had to run a 5K every single day to have abs, to be in the fitness industry and succeed, I wouldn't be in the fitness industry. I don't like doing that stuff. That would be zero enjoyable. So it has to be somewhat enjoyable for people. And number three, you have to see progress, because if you change all this stuff and you're doing all this stuff and you're putting effort into it, but you still look like an average dude after 6 months, you're going to stop, and you're going to start and stop and start and stop and start and stop, because it's annoying and it's defeating to put in effort into something and not get any reward. So in my third rule, I have to satisfy that you're going to see progress and you're going to see it fast. So when we satisfy those things, because we bring this understanding and you're already committed, and you come in with a beginner's mind and you're like, John, show me the way. What do I got to do? And I lay out a plan, and you start seeing progress and you start getting excited and you start inspiring yourself. And then other people around you start to get inspired without you talking about it. You just inspire people by your mere presence. And then over time, whether it takes 16 weeks or 32 weeks or 52 weeks or 5 years, if you really embody what I'm trying to say here and you become it, and it's your lifestyle, and it doesn't have it doesn't have quarters, and it's just has no end, this game. And you just become it. And every time you do have an interaction with somebody, every time you go on a date, or every time you have an interaction with your spouse, or every single time that you are speaking in front of people. Whatever it is you do, you have built through work and dedication and desire and effort and understanding and knowledge, this body that is you. And this new you has so much respect for you. When you look at this new you in the mirror, you're like, fuck, man, I respect you. I respect you, John. I respect the work that you put in. I respect that you invested in yourself. I respect that that reflection reflects the amount of respect that I have for you. And it's not something that you need to say anymore. You take off your shirt and you feel like that. And it's not just a body thing, it's a feeling. It's because you earned it. Because if I gave you a pill and someone's like, dude, I just want to lose 30 pounds. Take this pill tomorrow, you'll lose 30 pounds. Guess what? You'd miss out on. You'd miss out on the respect. So you'd walk around with a six pack because you took a pill and you still don't respect yourself. It's like the guys who take a lot of steroids, right? They take a shortcut. They take a shortcut. They take a shortcut. And because they take a shortcut and they wear these shirts and they walk around macho, guess what I know? I still know the secret. I know the secret and the dagger that I could hit them with. They don't have the respect for themselves because they knew what they had to do to get there. They knew what they had to do to get there. And so that respect is missing. But if you do shit the right way, like the way that I teach it in my program, and you do it without the shortcut, you gain the greatest gift that I could ever give you. And that is the respect for yourself, the love for yourself. And when you fill your own cup with all of that, and you have it, not just act like you have it, but fully embody it, then that respect that you seek from others will automatically be there every single time. And that right there, if you've listened to, I don't know how many episodes that I've had on this show, 130 or 135, somewhere around there, and you take this one message, it can change your life. What you seek in others starts within. Everything comes inside out. Please, please, please understand this for the rest of your entire life. And understand that reason is why I'm so passionate about the fitness, so passionate about the physicality. Because you can get a whole lot of other stuff. You could have McLarens in the driveway. You could get a whole bunch of stuff. But the one thing that's going to be missing, unless you do shit the right way, is that respect inside, which is going to show up outside.
Thank you so much for joining us for another amazing episode of The Show with John Madsen. The greatest compliment that you could give us is liking, loving, and sharing this episode with all of your friends. So please go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review, and then share it online with everyone that you know. Make sure to tag John as well. He loves to hear from listeners of the show. The links for all of his socials and iTunes are in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to engage John for anything related to his coaching, consulting, or programs, please visit johnmadsen.com for everything you'd need to know on how to engage with John offline. And lastly, thank you for your time, your attention, and your consideration. This is The Show.